Welcome to Waywut, your weekly verbal double take. This is a rabbit hole podcast where a couple of old guys do moderate to shallow dives into various topics, ranging from true crime, paranormal, sports, pop culture, or anything else that we find interesting. We drop episodes every Tuesday and on Fridays if we feel like it. You can follow us on Facebook, X, and TikTok. We appreciate you joining us. And now that we got all this self-promotion stuff out of the way, here we go.
Why, hello there. Thanks as always for joining us. On this episode, I am head of the class and will present another topic that made me say, Waywut. Sitting in the back of the class drawing crude illustrations of the teacher is Darrell.
No, I can't draw.
That's why they're crude.
I would sit in the back of the class and talk and write stories and cause trouble.
Yeah. Remember that game we used to play in history class where I would draw like a little stick person and you would have to draw a person to feed that stick person and something to keep busy.
It was fun to find out that like my son was playing that game too.
Really?
Yeah. Jason, we weren't the only ones. That's actually really popular.
Oh, I thought we were just freaking clever.
No, we weren't.
Oh.
It's one of those weird things where like all kids have the same idea, or like a bunch of people have the same idea at once. So,
What do you know? Well, history is riddled with events that change the world. I know that is an obvious statement. We have been taught throughout our lives on the significant wars, important signed treaties, deaths of all kind, world-changing discoveries, great works of art and literature, and revolutions. Within these events are all the players we have also learned about in great detail. Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, Einstein, Columbus, Shakespeare, Aristotle, just to name drop a few. This doesn't just stop with men. There are dozens of women who have helped shape history too.
dozens.
Well,
God, Jason, you're trying to get people mad. What the hell?
Okay, maybe I shouldn't say dozens. There's just hundreds and thousands of women, of course, but have helped Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Susan B. Anthony, Anne Frank, Marie Curie, Jane Austen, and Betsy Ross, just to name drop a few more. Don't get me wrong. They all laid the foundation for what we call the United States. Yet there are many things that we aren't told about them, or at least not widely taught. For example, George Washington was a slave owner. I'm not disparaging his name.
No, I was going to say, I knew that. Everybody knew that. They taught us that in school.
Well, they may have taught us that, but nobody is boycotting to get him off the dollar bill. They're just kind of letting all that go.
Some people are.
Maybe, probably, yeah. It is just a fact that gets glossed over because of how important of a figure he was in history. This can be said for historic events too. Darrell referred to the MLK assassination and all the details that were left out from the public in a prior episode. His assassination, however, pushed forward the civil rights movement. It has been reported that Pearl Harbor could have also been avoided, yet without it happening, U.S. had no intentions of joining World War II. Now, is it of my opinion when history shows a major foul-up from a corporation or government or some form of corruption or ulterior motives like winning a war, it is going to be talked about as much as events of triumph or the result. If we don't learn from history and everything it offers, the good and the bad, then we're bound to repeat it. Now, with all that said, I came across a few colorful examples of this and thought discussing them on a podcast was the next logical step.
You make it sound like that's why we created this podcast. It's like, the next logical step is I have to talk about this.
Well, yeah. Of course, we come across something in our lives that makes us actually say, wait, what? And you dive into it, and now we get the option of putting it on air.
Yay.
Yeah. This one is called, here's the backstory. The United States Radium Corporation, located in Orange, New Jersey, was involved in extracting and purifying radium from a type of ore called carnotite, starting around 1917 and ending around 1926. They used the radium to produce luminous or glow in the dark paints. They employed about 300 workers, mainly women in their 20s, to paint all types of clocks and watches with the glow in the dark paint. They were a major supplier of the glowing watches to the military, with World War I looming. The Radium Dial Company was also using this same type of paint. Although the corporations and scientists were aware of the risk associated with radium, they still told their employees that the paint was harmless. They taught the lip, dip, and paint method, where they would stick the brush in their mouth and put that
Yeah.
point of the brush to a point and do it again. Uh, they became known as ghost girls because of the radium that they were exposed to daily made their clothes, hair, and skin literally glow. They would even go as far to paint their teeth for that glowing smile.
Oh God.
Yeah, they were told how great it was for them, or it wasn't bad for them. So they would purposely put it on their good dresses so they would go out that night. They would glow in the clubs.
Well, yeah. I mean, it wasn't anything too malicious. I mean, they still didn't really understand a lot whenever it came to radioactivity.
Mm-mm.
Because you said this is like 1917
Yeah,
to when?
1926.
All right, so like in the 1950s, they were selling kits to children that had uranium in it.
Yeah, back of
So,
magazines.
yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, back then, and hell, even now we're bad about this. I mean, like, the fact is, I vape, and everybody's like, well, I'm sure it's more harmful than cigarettes. And I'm all like, well, we don't know yet because we haven't had enough time to find that out.
Hmm.
So,
So I'm gonna keep doing it.
yeah. The but so back then, they're like, "Oh, cool, we found this really cool glow in the dark thing."
Hmm.
Ah, cool. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with it.
Of course, look what it does. It makes my teeth glow.
I mean,
Uh,
that's pretty nifty. I mean, I'm serious. If there was something that can make my face glow, you think I wouldn't put it on there?
yeah. So what happened, you ask? Well, a radiation poisoning, of course. The women's mouths were affected first. They complained of dental pain of all sorts, including loose teeth, lesions, and ulcers. When the women would go get their loose teeth pulled or extracted, they wouldn't heal. They would just stay festered up
Bleeding.
and bleed. Yeah. One of the first women to show severe symptoms was Amelia Molly Magia, or Magia. It started with the removal of one tooth. It quickly spread to the rest of her mouth, causing the aforementioned lesions and ulcers. It even spread to her jaw, causing it to be removed. This became
Mm.
known as radium jaw, or necrosis of the jaw. It then moved on to other parts of her body, and she eventually died in 1922. By 1924, 50 women had become ill, and a dozen had died. Once again, the corporations knew of the risk or probable outcomes.
Did they know it in 1917, or are you saying they knew it by 1920?
At this time, they knew of the risk
Yeah,
and
okay.
the possible outcome.
Yeah, it's at that point they're like, wait a minute,
Yeah, they kept their
hold
findings
on
from their
here.
employees and urged medical professionals to contribute their deaths to something else. Syphilis was often used as a reason for these women's untimely demise,
Well, yeah,
including Molly's.
if you ever want to distract from something, it's kind of like anytime some like guy murders a woman. Well, she was a whore. It's like
Yep. And try to
distract.
disparage her name a little bit
Yeah.
more. Gosh.
It's like you're a whore. It's like I can't help it. We keep hiring sluts. You know.
Yeah, basically what they're trying to do. The aftermath. Litigation was obviously coming, but it started slow. No lawyer wanted to go up against these corporations. Finally, in 1927, attorney Raymond Berry agreed to take on their case. These Radium Girls were forced to take minimal settlements due to the fact they had just months to live, totaling to an abysmal $10,000.
Well, I mean, they were just sluts, so
I
I don't mean it. It's just that
know.
was, I mean, back then, like the things that companies could get. I mean, like it's funny they get away with a lot now, but they were a little bit, I don't know, more evil about it back then. They're just like,
Because they could easily get away with it back then.
yeah.
Not near as many fact checking companies. After over a decade of litigation and suits, and still denials from the corporation that Radium was not to blame, it finally was settled as liability was put on the corporations. Their case was among the first in which a company was held responsible for the health and safety of its employees, and it led to the creation of the U.S. Occupational Safety and Health Administration.
Thank you, Radium Ladies, for OSHA.
Yeah, they are known as the Radium Girls, and there's actually a book entitled Radium Girls where you can learn about their history.
On the plus side, you know how you were sitting there talking about there's certain things that don't get a lot of things. Well, they actually left behind a legacy. It is still in place today with OSHA. So,
Mhm. That's what I mean. We have something that we don't know where it came from, and we don't really talk about the dark history of it. We just know that it's there now.
yep.
There's actually even a movie. If anybody cares to check out the movie.
Oh, God, no. I don't want to see a bunch of bitches with their jaws cut off.
No. I think it's on Netflix. All right, the next one, sticking with the colorful theme, they're known as the Canary Girls. The backstory. During World War One, the workforce in England was short working. Excuse me. The workforce in England was short working age men. Women were required to step up and work in the factories instead. In fact, close to 3 million women were employed by all kinds of different factories. About a third of those involved manufacturing of munitions. In dealing with the manufacturing of munitions for the war, the women were subjected to long hours, low pay, and hazardous working conditions. Anytime you're dealing with mixing explosives, the conditions will be bad. That was expected. However, what was not expected was the effects of repeated exposure to TNT. The repeated exposure turned their skin and hair to turn yellow,
Oh,
comparable to that of the plumage of a canary. They would all be known as the Canary Girls.
I never knew that TNT had like some sort of side effect like that. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
These women were mixing the explosives by hand. The chemicals found in the explosives had a reaction with the melanin found in our skin. It stained their skin yellow. The discoloration faded over time and really had no long term health effects. However, there's always a however, there was more serious reactions and complications. The complications started with sneezing fits, a bad cough, severe sore throat, and, of course, digestive issues. It led to the TNT powder eventually trashing their livers. 400 cases of toxic jaundice were reported, with 100 of those cases turning fatal. It even was passed on through childbirth as canary babies were being born.
Ew.
Right? That'd be very, very scary as a
Be
mother and a
like,
father.
who you been sleeping with, bitch? Where's that Tweety Bear looking motherfucker? I'm gonna get him.
Yeah, who's yellow?
Didn't get that from my side of the family, you whore.
And the camera pans over and it's Big Bird standing there.
Ooh, it wasn't me.
Oh, that's great. One of the Simpsons.
Oh.
Oh man, making jokes. Over the years, the women also reported bone disintegration, breast deformation, weakening of the immune system, and dermatitis.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I guess it would make some sense because the whole reason why TNT works the way it does is because it is volatile.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it makes sense, I guess. Um, I mean, this did not go the direction I was expecting it. I was kind of expecting you to say they'd sneeze and then explode or something. You know, like
No.
they're breathing in like nitroglycerin or they start sweating it out. Whenever they like, like, woo, just wipe their forehead. Next thing you
Just
know, it causes a spark and they just explode. Um, this is not nearly that fun. This is more like ew and depressing.
yeah, it's one of those, like you said, it's the corporations that put their workers in bad conditions and they really don't care.
Well, nowadays when we want to do that, we just go to third world countries and have them put their workers in horrible conditions.
Very true. Unfortunately, that's very true. All right. Aftermath. Health and safety measures were amped up to try and limit exposure, but only so much could be done as explosives were obviously needed. I could only find one lawsuit that was filed. It was filed by Lily Moody, former employee of the Royal Arsenal in London. She filed suit for the loss of her stillborn child and for her permanent incapacity. Her claim was denied. Go figure out.
Well, I'm figuring, with this being like English and all that, they're probably like, you wish to besmirch Her Majesty's army whenever you are trying just worried about turning yellow?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the
And it,
Queen. Think of the Queen.
yep. Go wear your fuzzy hat. They were talking about how the pictures of that time were obviously weren't very good. So finding pictures of these women who actually had a yellowish tip is hardly doesn't exist.
That makes
Pictures I
sense.
saw were they're black and white. You can't tell.
Wow, look how. Oh, she's just really white. No, 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 no. She's a little duller of a white.
Um, these women, although not compensated, did do major help in the advancement of women getting the right to vote in England, and the state recognized them as an essential part of the industrial machine.
Gee, thanks.
Well, here's the weird part, or the side note of this, is this was just part of the dangers they were dealing with. You would think dealing with an explosive would be the dangerous part. It has been noted that several workers were injured and killed due to accidental detonations. On average, 2 workers died a week.
Well, yeah, I've watched enough Roadrunner and Coyote cartoons to know that explosives are dangerous.
But you know how they were putting the bombs together? They had to tap on, I don't remember the top cap with a hammer. They had to tap a freaking bomb with the hammer. Tap it too hard, you blow up. Tap it not hard enough, the cap don't go on. There's a very fine middle ground
I'm,
they were
I mean,
dealing with.
I mean, I get, they needed money or whatever, but I would have found it very difficult not to be like, here, I'm going to tap on it with your fucking head. Come here.
I read that. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. That's the one thing you do not want to do.
They were a different breed than us back then.
Mm, mm-mm. Uh, I'm going to move on to the next one. It is something that we've all heard before, but it falls along with the theme of this colorful look back on history. I'm going to talk about a little bit about Agent Orange. Yeah. South Vietnam asked the United States for help in clearing out the jungle that were providing cover for their communist foes. Between the years of 1962 and 1971, the U.S. military sprayed about 20 million gallons of various tactical use color coded chemical herbicides, aka the rainbow herbicides, including Agent Orange, over Vietnam and other parts affected by the war. About 60% was the use of Agent Orange. It has been stated that concentration levels were 20 times the normal use for killing plants. That
Well, yeah,
is
if you want to kill
amazing.
them fast.
Well, you get the stuff from the store and you read the back of it, and it says put in 1 cap to 6 gallons of water.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
they had a lot of jungle to defoliate.
no, I get it, but wow, wow.
I mean, I imagine they didn't use it at even higher concentrations. They're like, no, wait, stop. We might actually win then. We got to draw this thing out. Military industrial complex has a lot more helicopters in order right now. So
This military operation was known as Operation Ranch Hand. I've been learning so much about military operations and all their code stuff. Anyway, over 6,500 spraying missions took took place during this time, covering close to 12% of the total area of South Vietnam. That's
that's it.
yeah, that's quite a bit that
That's
is
it.
saturated with pesticide or herbicide.
You
It
said it
just
was over South Vietnam, right?
mm-hmm,
That's funny because that's like, don't worry, we're here to save you, South Vietnam.
yeah, we're gonna spray
this
all
eat.
this on you. Yeah,
Let's go ahead and fuck everything up really good. We're
it
here
just
for you.
yeah. Here we go. It destroyed thousands upon thousands of agricultural land, crops, and mangrove forest. Agent Orange was a 50-50 mixture of two herbicides that contained dioxin, a toxic contaminant. I'm not going to read the. It remained toxic for only days or weeks and then degraded, but dioxin did not degrade as quickly. Like you were talking about earlier, the half life was several thousands of years of that. This shit would just stay on plants and just stay in the ground.
Yuck.
Yeah. What happened? Well, Vietnam veterans were told not to worry about Agent Orange as it was harmless to humans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Of course, themselves and millions of Vietnamese were affected. Veterans, upon returning home, fell ill. Symptoms included lowered immune system, numbness in your feet and hands, fatigue, difficulty breathing, edema, swelling, and muscle tremors. It led to birth defects, miscarriages, various forms of cancer, and Parkinson's disease.
It is a nasty, nasty thing. And I already know the end of this story is not very nice. So,
No, no, it's still happening. Actually, it's still going on today. Believe it or not. Uh,
I'm sure that whatever guys in government's like, God damn it, when are these fuckers going to die off so they stop pestering us about this Agent Orange thing? God, I
yeah,
wasn't even here. I was too busy like going to college avoiding the draft. Damn.
yeah. Claims were beginning to be filed in 1977 for their conditions they believed were caused by Agent Orange. Of course, their claims were denied. Of course, they were.
It's like, we're the government. We don't make
Yeah,
mistakes.
we're insurance companies, so too, we're going to deny your first claim. That's just the rule. A huge class action lawsuit was brought, estimated to be around 10 million plaintiffs.
Damn.
That is, yeah. Can you imagine
Yeah.
Aaron
I mean,
Brockovich hanging on to that one?
well, yeah, because like I've been a part of a couple class action lawsuits myself.
Get your $4 check in the mail.
I did. It was like, I think what was like for the Columbia House thing. Remember they used to say,
Hmm.
"Hey, get 7 free tapes or whatever."
Oh yeah, I did that a bunch.
Yeah, I got to be part of some class action lawsuit on that. I'm trying to remember. There's been a few.
Yeah, I
There's
was
one
like,
I got $20.
ooh,
I don't know.
that's high
Now,
rolling there.
granted, none of these things were ever because I had a compromised immune system. Most of the time, it's like, oh, I was ripped off. Oh, cool. Sign up.
Yep.
Thanks. Take me.
Yeah. Thing is, did you cash those checks?
I did.
Me too. I don't care if it was $4 or 25 cents. I was going to cash it.
Yeah, no, there's you if you have any of those outstanding, you can go to like the Texas Treasury.
Yeah,
You ever do the thing where you
I
check,
did
make
that.
sure?
I actually
Yeah,
had money one time.
yeah. No, Google owed me money once because of my other YouTube channel that I don't ever do anything on. So,
Really, I was owed back my deposit from Foxwood Apartments.
oh, nice.
Yeah, nice having going to the fair and looking up in that book, saying, "I wonder if it's my name going to be found in this book to see if I owed money." And lo and behold, it was.
Yep, it's pretty cool.
Say the class lawsuit, like I said, had class action lawsuit had about 10 million plaintiffs. In 1984, this suit was settled out of court for $180 million. The large,
So 10 million plaintiffs, $180 million, but you have to deduct a third out of that goes
Mhm.
to the lawyer. So that would leave 120 million. So among 10 million plaintiffs, math that for me, Jason.
Oh, they didn't get that much
Oh
because there were
no.
so many families affected by this. The Agent Orange Settlement Fund was created to disperse the funds. This
Uh-huh.
settlement fund was in place for only 6 years, closing in 1997 and paying out roughly around $197 million to class members, including roughly 50,000 Vietnam veterans or their survivors, receiving a whopping $3,800 each.
Mm. Oh man.
$3,800.
That is not cool. Let's see. Oh
No,
dang it. I'm doing math right now. Let's see. Because I'm gonna see how you said it was 197 million.
that's what they ended up paying out, and roughly 50,000 Vietnam veterans was paid out or their survivors, and saying they received about 3,800 each.
Well, That's more than what I would have expected with 10 million of them having an issue. So kind of worked out for them.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it would have been $19.70.
one of those checks.
So,
One
I
of
mean,
those checks.
Agent Orange, that thing's pretty. It's look. I know, like whenever you did your episode on like the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and you're like,
Hmm.
you know, how you would have considered joining the military, and I
Yeah,
was like, ugh. The reason that I'm like that on that is, I've known people that go in there and all that, and it's just that once you sign up, they own you. Like whatever they want to put in your body, they put in your body.
this is
Anything
true.
that,
With that vaccination crap was going on.
yeah, and well, it's not just the COVID vaccination. It's whatever they won't even tell you. They'll just sit there, just hit you with a bunch of vaccines. And so, I mean, your job is to do whatever it is that they say, and that's just I don't know. I'm not saying the Asian Orange thing that's fucked up, and I'm glad that they won their lawsuit. It's just that the mentality of the government when it comes to the military is like you at that point you were a tool
Well,
in a
yeah.
product, and you're just I'm not about that life. I would have been horrible. I would have been court-martialed very quickly, and not for doing anything brave or bold or anything like that. It just been the I'd be crying like a bitch or something like that, and just like slap at somebody, say stop it, leave me alone, and then they would like you're going to the brig. Oh God.
Well, GI Joe does lose its luster when you learn that the GI stands for government issued.
Yeah, it's true.
Makes you like you just were just saying. But I wouldn't get into the military for the bad reasons. It would be for the camaraderie and the brotherhood you would get
Oh
afterwards.
yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, you can all like die from like whatever fucking shit they inject you with together. So, that's important.
Of course,
It's
of
like, oh
course.
hey, yeah, here, we're gonna put this serum in there that's supposed to possibly make you immune from the syphilis that you're undoubtedly gonna get from some whore at a brothel in I don't know, whatever country you end up in. I didn't want to throw any of them under the bus. But
Well,
and
speaking of
it's like, oh, sorry, it only has like a 50% chance of killing you, but you'll be all right.
uh, speaking of syphilis, I just learned today that there's actually a syphilis outbreak causing a shortage of penicillin.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, would you like to know like one of the places that that sexually transmitted diseases have a tendency to go like berserk at, like where a lot of people get infected with a lot of them?
I don't know.
Retirement homes.
Oh yes, yes.
Retirement homes, like them old people, they are bored. All you got to do all day is play bingo, watch TV, and fuck. And and at that point, most of them are like widows and shit like that. And so you got like some dude that's sitting there just going around banging every old broad that he can
Hmm.
come across, spreading around his funk, and you get all these like, like I even saw a billboard the other day outside of Dallas where it's like I think it said something along the lines of STDs are timeless, and you see two old people like hugging, and I'm like, come on.
Yeah, that's a perfect under the sheet one. STDs are
Well,
timeless under the sheets.
well, shit. It's just sitting there basically saying, "Hey, old people, you can still get the funk too." I mean,
They don't care.
I know. I'm pretty sure you still care. I mean, like, I don't care how old you are. You don't want your dick to hurt. I mean, if
They
it's
just want to feel it. I don't know if they want it burning or not.
yeah. I mean, it, I can't think of any STD where an old person be like, "Ah, it's fine."
Eh.
Yeah, it's like there's not a single one. I mean, I guess if it's like one of those things like the HPV ones that the guy can carry and not know he
Mhm.
has it, he's all like, "Yeah, fuck it, I don't care." But like it's seriously all of the STDs, chlamydia, syphilis, gonorrhea, all those get like they're constantly having to treat those for like old people in retirement homes because they're all dirty and gross, dirty,
But
gross whores.
they just never grew up using them, so why use them now? Talking about
I'm
condoms.
not going to use a condom. That's for sailors.
Hmm. uh, well, after numerous studies and tests, the VA, Veterans of Foreign Affairs, now the VA now presumes a Vietnam veteran was exposed just by serving and could be eligible for disability compensation.
Good.
Yeah. Now, this is just a tip of this topic, as this was worldwide. It is massive and still relevant today. The VA even issued a proposed rule in early 2024 to expand the locations and timeframes for presumed exposure to Agent Orange. This went into effect on March 5th, 2024. The average compensation for exposure to Agent Orange ranges from about $1,600 to close to $40,000 per year. This compensation is federal tax-free and doesn't affect retirement income. So they completely did a 180 on all that.
Well, yeah, because I mean, as the years have gone by, and I still distrust and don't like the government, but it's a lot easier for like people to communicate and stuff like that and join together, as well as whenever it comes to things like news organizations, stuff like that, you can get the word out. Whether it's through social media or the regular media or whatever, you can get the word out. And the last thing any politicians want, I mean, it's easy for them to get bad publicity like really fast.
Oh, absolutely. That shit spreads more than good.
Yep.
Well, that will do it for this colorful look at history. Let us know in the comments if I missed one. Join us next week as Darrell gathers up his crude drawings of the teacher and stuff them in his He-Man lunchbox, as he would bring us another topic and made him say, "Waywut?"
I never had a He-Man lunchbox. I had
Skeletor.
Dino Riders and I had Mickey Mouse.
Dino Riders?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was like the guys, they were riding dinosaurs and they fought each other. It was an action figure set, which is so funny. I had the lunchbox, but I never had any of the toys. But my mom was like, "You like dinosaurs?" And I'm sure it was on sale. I would like to note, though, I don't appreciate you doing a subject that is near and dear to my heart, history. But then like color coding it, I'm colorblind, and you know this.
You can still see the words.
Whatever.
Just for this, the thumbnail is going to be in all green and red.
Fuck you. All right.
Oh, one more question about your lunchbox. Was your lunchboxes always metal?
The Mickey Mouse one I had was metal, but the Dino Riders one was plastic.
I remember having metal ones.
Yeah, I had the metal, which it's one of those things where I'm pissed off that I don't have them anymore because now they're valuable.
$100, yeah.
Which is so funny. When I was in L.A. over the summer, it was when we were in Hollywood. We went to a souvenir shop there, and they had like lunchboxes and stuff, and they had like a Freddy Krueger one and a Jason one, and I'm all like, "Oh yes!" And they're like, "Yeah, $60." I'm like, "Fuck you! I love horror movie stuff." I mean, one of these days, maybe I'll show people the room. I've got horror movie stuff all over the place. But that stuff I get at conventions, and it makes sense why it costs that much. If a lunchbox, I'm going to want to use that. And it's just like, eat my ass. I am not paying you $60 for a damn lunchbox.
Agreed.
Damn Californians.
It's like the Funko Pops. I like collecting those, but I'm not paying more than $20, $30 for one.
What are you talking about? I won't pay more than $15 for one. Ain't that how much they usually cost? Is $15 whenever they're new?
Yeah, that's about the normal price. But if you go to like Game Exchange or something like that, they have them all marked up a little higher.
No thanks.
Yeah. Well, check us out next week, guys. Till then, we'll see y'all later.
Thank you. Like, subscribe, comment. Tell Jason, like what a dick he is for doing an episode about colors. Or tell him your favorite historical color.
Yeah, just tell anybody.
Or tell him which radioactive substance you've put in your mouth. All right.
Later.
Bye. Thank you for joining us for Waywut. If you would, tell your friends or your enemies that they can watch us on YouTube or Rumble. And if you don't want to see our face, or if they don't want to see our faces, you can listen to us on your preferred audio platform. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, you name it, we're probably on there. Please like, review, and comment on whatever platform you joined us on today. We'd appreciate that a ton. Again, just thank you for listening and watching. We hope you'll join us next time. We'll make you say, "Wait, what?"